Hi friends! Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name is Brittany. On this channel, I share my stupid opinions about the books I've been reading. Today's book is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, which is When in Rome, Book 2. I did not read book 1 because it's not through on my Libby Holds yet, and I'm not buying it, even though I should. I don't want to wait to read When in Rome, the first book, but I'm gonna wait until my Libby Hold comes through. Let's go ahead and jump into averages on Goodreads and the story graph, and then we'll talk about my overall review for this book. So, Practice Makes Perfect averages 4.03 on Goodreads with 106,405 ratings, and it has 4.05 as an average on the story graph. If there are any content warnings, I will pop them up here as always. These are provided from the story graph. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Annie Walker is on a quest to find her perfect match, which is a man who complements her quiet, happy life running the only flower shop in Rome, Kentucky. Finding her dream man is harder than Annie thought it was going to be because everyone in Rome knows Annie. The dating pool is shrinking by the day. We are opening up with Annie overhearing her most recent date talk about how she is unbelievably boring, which means that Annie is now thinking, oh my God, am I the problem? Is it me? At almost 30, is it too late for Annie to become flirtatious and fun like Audrey Hepburn is in all of the movies that she stars in? Maybe she just needs to get a little bit more practice. Here's Will Griffin, perfect person to tutor Annie in dating. He is back in Rome to provide security for Amelia Rose as excitement is like building around her wedding to Noah. Will, on the other hand, is immediately drawn to Annie, so his only objective while working is to stay away from Annie, to like try to avoid developing any attachments in Rome. So literally as soon as he gets settled in for his month-long security stint with Amelia in Rome, he's tasked with helping Annie like practice dating. He doesn't want to have any part in like changing Annie because he thinks that she's perfect as she is. She's sweet, she's loving, he's all about that. Will knows that Annie is not cut out for a straight-laced and stuffy man to keep her happy. He has a hard time saying no when Annie is the one asking him for help. They are going on these steamy practice dates and strictly educational tutoring sessions, and Annie is discovering that there are so many more layers to Will's stoic portrayal than she originally thought. So the lines in their friendship are obviously blurring, and Annie is now reconsidering what would make her perfect guy, meaning that maybe her love life isn't something that needs to be perfect. Maybe she's just looking for something that feels real. Again, I paraphrase from Goodreads to avoid giving spoilers in my synopsis because I know myself, I would spoil it. Obviously, this book includes characters who are introduced in When in Rome, which is book 1. I didn't read the books in order, but I don't feel like I struggled. Let's go through the main characters in this book, then we'll talk briefly about the side characters. So we have Annie Walker, who is the youngest of the 4 Walker siblings. She's sweet, she's kind, she's caring, she's a town's golden girl. She owns the local flower shop, is constantly bullied by her older siblings, but like not in a mean way, just in the way that older siblings do or siblings do. It's not meant to hurt her, but it does inevitably end up hurting her, but it's not intentionally to hurt her. It's more like a, haha, we're siblings. Annie's a romance reader. Specifically, she is into pirate romances, which is a unique and fun like character aspect. When she's not in the flower shop, she's hanging out at home, reading whatever pirate books in her banana pajamas that are like a staple in her life. Her older siblings are Noah, Emily, and Maddie. She seems to have a really incredible bond with each of her siblings, but she's really afraid to show them who she truly is because she spent all of her life letting them believe that the front that she puts on to be supportive of them is just who she is as a whole. She doesn't let them see other small parts of her life. Like the romance books, that's a secret from her family. No one knows that she reads those pirate books. Will Griffin is an executive protection agent, which is basically a bodyguard, and I will be calling him a bodyguard throughout the rest of this because I refuse to say executive protection agent for the rest of this video. He's assigned to provide security for pop sensation Amelia Rose in the month leading up to her wedding to Annie's older brother. He is so serious at like all times, but his sense of humor is so sarcastic. I freaking loved it. He is heavily tattooed, and Annie is quite sure that she's never been more attracted to anyone. Will has a younger brother whose name is Ethan. He is a lawyer in New York City. Will doesn't seem to mind that he provides security for Amelia. The two have a really incredible bond and are so funny together, but he would rather be protecting a politician or somebody of a higher profile because Will loves to live dangerously. He was in the Air Force for 6 years, and I want to say that he's been a bodyguard for the past 10 years, so he has quite a lot of background in security forces. Anyway, those are the two main players. They are the two who the love story centers around. Moving on to side characters. We have Mabel and Harriet, who are the two old biddies in the town. They are the warring old ladies. They constantly are at it. Harriet's a prude. Mabel's a free spirit. They will do anything to spite each other. James is the local farmer. He is Noah's bestie, and Annie views him as a second older brother because he basically grew up in the same house as the other Walker children. Emily is a second grade teacher. She is the eldest of the Walker sisters. She's bossy. I love her. She reminds me of me. Maddie is also an elementary school teacher because she will do anything that Emily does, even though she doesn't want to be an elementary school teacher. She's the middle sister. She is very passionate about cooking to the point where salt and pepper are not allowed to live with the other spices. That was just something endearing that I found about Maddie. Noah's the eldest Walker sibling. He is head over heels in love with Amelia, which I think we learn in When in Rome, and he runs the town's bakery. Amelia, pop sensation, hilarious, the brains behind the practice dating between Annie and Will. There are a bunch of other nosy ass side characters that reside in this town, and I loved all of them, each and every one. This gets a perfect score because there's literally nothing that I would change about the characters. I love them so much. Annie and Will are hands down my favorite bookish couple that I've read this year. So sorry to Ari and Josh from You Again. Will and Annie have taken the cake, and Will is gonna hold the crown for best man written by a woman in 2024 for me, I think. I don't think that there's gonna be anything that can top him. I just loved it so much. 10 out of 10 for the characters. Sorry about the lighting. The sun keeps going behind clouds, and I'm just doing the best that I can. It's ruining my life. Something about small town romances just screams to my soul. I love them so freaking much. The way that everyone in the town is in Annie and Will's business and like literally creating a petition to break them up is so funny to me, and the nosiness is so incredibly realistic. Everything about the setting made me feel all of the feelings. I felt fully immersed in the town, and I was totally able to picture it, which we know I love when the atmosphere is this good. Like a film playing in my head, I felt myself in Rome, Kentucky, and I can't wait to revisit when in Rome comes through. The atmosphere was a 9 out of 10, and we're moving on to the writing. It could have been perfect. It could have been perfect, but the author liked to have monologues with lists. So for example, it would be like, first, da 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 da, second, da 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 da, and it was fine the first time it happened, but for it to consistently have happened, I can't overlook it. It happens way too many times. Anytime a character is monologuing, they're listing out. You can list it out. I don't need you to say first, second, third. We're not writing a 5-paragraph essay for English class, ma'am. Just get it off your chest and say it with your chest, and please don't list it out. Otherwise, I found myself laughing out loud, which is very similar to Emily Henry, Christina Lauren. I laugh out loud when I read their books. Those are my personal like favorite romance authors at this point in my life as someone who hasn't read a lot of like mainstream romance. I read a lot of KU stuff, but I have not read a lot of mainstream romance. So I was having a great time, kicking my feet, giggling, laughing about the writing, because you can tell that Sarah Adams' sense of humor infiltrated her writing. I love when I'm reading a book and the sense of humor is clearly jumping off the page. So when I compare her to Emily and Christina Lauren, I'm not saying that their writing styles are similar. I'm saying that their sense of humor is very clear to me on the page. It's one of my favorite styles of writing when an author can showcase their humor, and I love being able to tell that they would 100% be hilarious in real life. So I gave the writing a 9 out of 10. It was very, very good. I just couldn't get over that first, second, third bullshit. Points deducted for one part at the end that made me so fucking mad because Will would never, and absolutely for no reason, why did you make me mad like that? Will would never behave in the way that I was led to believe that he behaved in the end of this book. Otherwise, the plot was right up my alley. It's a cute small town romance. There's no real conflict because the female main character, the male main character, even as they're going through it, are very clearly open with communication and showing their feelings to each other. And I loved it. I love that. The openness of the communication between them talking about their feelings is something that I think deserves more respect in romance novels. I think that it showcased how healthy the relationship between Annie and Will was, and I really loved that it was incorporated in the plot so much. But you get points knocked off because you made me believe that Will was a bad guy there for a second at the end. 8 out of 10. I love it when a book is so good that I have to quite literally force myself to stop reading so that I can go to bed and attempt to be well rested for work the next day, and that is the case with this book. I had to force myself to stop reading because at no point did I feel a lull in my attention, like, oh, maybe I should put this down and get some rest. No, I didn't even get the ick when they kissed for the first time. I think that after I read Vile Boys, which my review is right there for Vile Boys if you want to see that. After reading the straight debauchery that was that book, my mind craved a closed door romance, and this was it. We are talking fake dating, obviously, in this book, and I tend to very much enjoy fake dating. So I gave the intrigue a 9 out of 10 for this because I literally could not stop. I forced myself to stop. For the logic, I have 2 very short notes. When people monologue, they don't tend to say first, second, third. It's not an essay. It's a speech. Just give the fucking speech about how much you love this person and stop listing it out. How fucking dare you make me question Will like that? How dare you? 8 out of 10 for logic because otherwise it was very good. And for enjoyment, when I tell you that I actually teared up and almost cried with this book, that is not an understatement. I found this book to be so incredibly sweet. I can see fully why everybody's talking about how wonderful these books are in like all of the videos that I see online. It was a 10 for me for enjoyment. I simply could not stop. Which brings our totals to 63 out of 70 for an average of 9. 9 even. I love when that happens. Which brings our star rating to 4.75. It's early in the year, but I'm gonna say this might end up being one of my favorite books that I read in 2024. So with that, I'm gonna head out. If you like the video, feel free to leave me a like. Let me know in the comments below who your favorite man written by a woman of all time is. I wanna know. If you're new here and you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. It's free for you, it's fun for me. And with that, I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.